In today's tutorial, I'm going to be taking you through the steps of how to make these mini pumpkins using the herringbone half double crochet stitch. So let's get started. Hi everyone, welcome back to the Purple Tulip workshop, where you learn your stitches and stitch to create with love. I'm your host Shipra, and I'll be taking you through a series of videos on different types of stitches and projects. So if you're excited and ready to learn, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification so you'll never miss when I post a new video. So for today's project on how to make these mini pumpkins, I'm going to be using cotton yarns in these 3 shades. I've got these yarns by White Rose, which are known as the Glossy Mellow Cotton Yarn. They have a similar thickness to a fingering yarn. What I'll do is I'll mention the shade numbers and how to get them in the description box down below. I'll also be using a cutting scissors, a darning needle, a locking pin, and I'm using a hook size of 2.25 mm, which is the same as size B1 in the US, and we will also require some fiber fill for the stuffing. So to start up, I'm going to make our slip knot, and now I'm going to make a foundation chain of 20. I've done a foundation chain of 20. Now I'm going to be adding 2 more stitches. So these 2 stitches will be counted as the first half double herringbone stitch for us. And I'm going to turn my chain around, and I'm going to be working in the 4th bump, which is the 4th back bump over here. So I'm going to have my yarn over. The first 2 bumps are the first stitch for us, and the 3rd bump is actually the foundation chain stitch for us, and then I'm going to work in the 4th bump. So I'm going to be doing my herringbone half double crochet in the 4th bump. And if you want to refer to my earlier tutorials on how to do the half double herringbone stitch, you can refer to it from the link above. So I'm going to continue working into the back bumps all the way till the end with this stitch, and I'll meet you once I've come to the end of that stitch line. So now that I've come to the end of this row, I'm going to do chain 2, and then I'm going to turn my work around. And in the 2nd stitch, I'm going to be doing the herringbone half double crochet. So this is the 2nd stitch. This chain works as the 1st stitch. So I'm going to put my hook all the way through like this, and then I'm going to do the herringbone half double crochet stitch here. So I'll show that to you again. So I hook all the way through, and then the herringbone half double stitch. Like this. So now I'm going to just complete this row, and I'll meet you right at the end. So now I'm at the end, and we have to work the last stitch. So we're going to be placing our hook all the way through the 2 top stitches of the original foundation chain, and we'll be working the herringbone half double crochet stitch here like this. So now we're going to be repeating row 2 sequence all the way through. So we're going to work on the 2nd stitch and the 3rd stitch, and so on and so forth. And we're going to repeat that action until we acquire 22 rows in total. So I'm back, and I've completed 22 rows of the herringbone half double crochet. Now we're going to move on to building up the pumpkin. So this is the right side and this is the wrong side. So I'm going to have the right side inside, fold the wrong side out. And now we're going to be doing single crochets all the way through both of the sides. So we're going to put both sides together, and I'm going to insert the hook all the way through the loops on both sides and do single crochet. Now I've completed the single crochets. I'm on the last stitch, so I'm going to just insert my hook all the way through both last stitches, and now I'm going to do chain 1 to lock the stitch. I'm going to pull the yarn tight so that the knot is tight, but then we're also going to be pulling the yarn a little bit longer because we're going to need this to sew in the bottom part of the pumpkin. So now I'm going to get hold of my darning needle, and I'm going to be sewing in the bottom part of the pumpkin. So I'm going to be picking up a few stitches like this. So it's going to be like a loose stitch work that I'm going to be doing. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull onto this yarn and see how it closes up at the bottom. So now I'm going to place in a couple of knots, tight knots, and then I'm going to snip up these tail ends and turn my work inside out. And now you can see how the bottom has closed up. So now I'm going to get hold of some of my fiber fill, and I'm going to start stuffing the pumpkin. Now I'm going to get hold of my brown yarn, and I'm going to attach it to the top of my pumpkin. So we're going to attach it right over here at the top, like this. And now I'm going to do chain 2, and I'm going to be doing a double crochet in each row. So each row will count as a stitch. So I'm going to do the double crochets all the way through till the end. I'm going to join this round with a slip stitch, and then I'm going to do chain 2, and now I'm going to be doing 2 double crochets together with the invisible technique. So I'm going to insert the hook into the front loops of 2 of the stitches like this, and I'll pull the yarn through these 2 stitches, and now I'll do a double crochet like we normally do. So I'm going to continue with the decrease sequence all the way through till the end of the round. We're going to join this round with a slip stitch, and I'm going to do a chain 1 to lock the stitch like this. And now we're going to pull onto this yarn a little bit longer because we are going to be using this later on. So now I'm going to get hold of my pale orange yarn, and I'm going to be sewing a few stitches all the way through on this round with some loose straight stitches like this. And now that I've come to the joining area, I'm going to be pulling onto both of these tail ends tight. I'll place a knot here and pull onto it tight to close up the top part of the pumpkin like this. So I'm going to get hold of my darning needle, and I'm going to now close up the top part of the stem. So I'm going to weave in all the way around on the top stitches like this. Now I'm going to get hold of my pale orange yarn again, and this is going to be a long yarn. And now I'm going to place in a knot at the bottom of the pumpkin like this. And we can now hide the tail into the pumpkin, pull it through. And now we can put the yarn on the side of the pumpkin, place it in like this, and we're going to place it in between the round. So on the curves of the rounds, we're going to place it like this, and we can pull onto the yarn. So once we pull onto the yarn, it creates the bumps of the pumpkin. So we're going to keep repeating this action until we have acquired at least 6 bumps for the pumpkin. Now I'm going to get hold of my green yarn, and we're going to start with a slip knot. And now I'm going to be making a foundation chain of 8. So now from the second stitch from the hook, I'm going to be doing a sequence of single crochet, a half double crochet, then I'm going to do 2 double crochets. So this is the first double crochet, then that's the second double crochet, and now another half double crochet, a single crochet, and then a slip stitch, and then I'm going to turn, and then I'm going to do a single crochet, a half double crochet, 2 double crochets, so that's 1, and then that's 2, and then a half double crochet, and then a single crochet, and I'm going to snip up this tail, and finally we're going to just join it with a slip stitch. Now I'm going to make a chain of 30, and once I've done the chain of 30, I'm going to be placing in our marker. After placing in my marker, I'm going to be doing an additional chain of 15 stitches to make the curly Q. Now we're going to be working into the third stitch from the hook, so the first 2 stitches will be counting as the first double crochet, and now we're going to place in 2 more double crochets into the third stitch. So that's 1, and this is 2. Now moving onwards, in each of the stitches we are going to be placing in 3 double crochets. So this is 1, 2, 3. I'm going to continue this on all the way till the end, till the marker. Now to finish up my curly Q, I'm going to be doing my last double crochet stitch. And now in the next stitch I'm going to do a slip stitch like this, and then chain 1, and I'm going to pull onto the yarn a little bit and snip up the yarn, and now we can weave in this tail end within the curly Q. Once that's done, we can twist the curly Q back into its shape, and we can wrap it around the stem of our pumpkin. You can place in 1 knot, or if you want, you can place in a second knot as well, like this. And there we go. Our cute little mini pumpkin is ready. So if you like this video, then do give it a thumbs up, and do subscribe to my channel from the link below, and click on to the bell icon for the latest updates. Take care for now and stay safe. Bye bye.